Welcome to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. We're filming on location today at the Kitsap Credit Union, their Harborside office, which is downtown. And I have two very special guests. The first is Cathy Morrison. She's Outreach Coordinator, and she's also Credit Union Development Educator. Secondly, we have the manager of the branch, and that's Wanda Moore. She has 30 years with the credit union, and she has lots to share with us today. Please stay tuned. My first guest is Cathy Morrison. She is the Outreach Coordinator. Cathy, you have initials after your name, and it's for Credit Union Development Educator.
That's correct.
Tell me a little bit about what you went through in training to become a cutie.
Actually, the Credit Union Development Educator designation is one that's held by approximately 4,000 people worldwide. And it's a week-long immersion into philosophy and history, international issues, domestic finance issues, community development, and it's all under the umbrella of development. And when you receive this designation, they ask that you do a project. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today.
We are. And before we get to your project, you're involved in some other things in the community. So from, I believe it's the Coffee Oasis, you also have a total agreement with Washington Cash. Give us a little bit of a synopsis of you, yourself, and your involvement in the community.
Okay. Well, as the outreach coordinator here at the credit union, there's basically three things that I focus on. Service to the underserved, which is a lot of the community involvement that I am part of personally. I manage all of our financial education programs, birth through seniors, and our community events and activities. So as far as the service to the underserved, I am the president of Coffee Oasis Board and have been for the last 3 years. I serve on the Washington Cash Advisory Committee and the Hope 6 Task Force, which is the new Bay Vista development, as well as a variety of other boards. And I've really taken an interest in serving the underserved. There are so many needs in the community. And really that was what was all the work that I do in that arena is what's behind Life on the Edge.
And this comes the project. I first met you, Cathy, when we were doing Kitsap Cares About Kids. And it was a kind of an offshoot of the Kitsap County
The Commission
of Children and Youth, and you became the president of that as well. And then we had the 3-year program getting our businesses involved in Kitsap Cares About Kids. So you have a long history of that. So now this major project that you're doing, it's coming up on May 8th.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about the background of that and what it's going to do with our community.
Okay. Well, it's Life on the Edge in Kitsap County, and it's basically an experiential learning opportunity for people to come together. And I really want to challenge their thinking and perception of poverty. You know, in my experience with some of the other organizations that I work with, Patty, I've found that our perception isn't always correct. You know, we see a homeless person and we think, gosh, let's get him into a place. And we think we've solved all of his problems. But really what we've done is we've now maybe alienated him even more so by taking him away from the family and street culture that he knew so well.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like an onion. The layers are kind of connected together, and you can't just address one little issue. I think you have to look at the broader picture and have a really better, deeper understanding of poverty and what elements those people face on a day-to-day basis.
There's a stigma that human nature has, and it attaches it to different things, whether it's poverty or the homeless. And so this is something, I know you're doing some exercises.
Yes.
You've got some sponsors. And so let's go a little bit into detail about Life on the Edge.
Well, initially I have to thank the sponsors up front. They've come together to really make this event a reality. The Kitsap Sun, the Washington Credit Union Foundation, the Kitsap County Commissioners, KPS Health Plans, the AY Petter Family Assisted or Advised Fund, Sound Grants, of course Kitsap Credit Union, the Department of Commerce, the Washington Cash, the Kitsap Conference Center. It's been just an endless list.
That's great.
Amazing support. And there's basically 4 main components to the event. And we have Dr. Donna Beagle, who is coming, who is an authority in the area of poverty.
Now, you know a little bit about her, and can you give us a thumbnail sketch about this dramatic speaker?
She is a pistol. She is the only person in her family who's never been incarcerated, and was born into migrant labor generational poverty herself. And gosh, she was married at age 15, divorced by age 25, had very little education, and she put herself through all the way up to getting her doctorate, and has devoted her life to going around talking to people about how to eradicate poverty. And she's worked with PBS and a lot of national organizations, so I think she's really going to bring some good conversation to the event. And in the afternoon, the exercise that you were referring to, we are going to reenact the lives of 36 low-income families. And so participants are going to be paired up to create family units. And then we're going to divide the next hour into 4 15-minute weeks and give them different scenarios. And what it's going to show them is there's a lot of different challenges that people in poverty face that we might not even think of.
Just getting assistance.
Right.
Finding shelter for a night, or finding medication, or finding food. There's a lot of things that we take for granted.
That's right. You know, we see the guy sitting on the street and we think, why doesn't he just go to the service that can help him? Well, he can't even get there. He doesn't even have a bus pass. You know, simple things like that you know, we take for granted, as you said, on a day-to-day basis. It's a very big obstacle for them.
Now, I know that we're publicizing this. Do you have an attendance that's growing for this event?
You know, I put some invitations out on Friday, and we're already up to 94 people.
Oh my gosh.
So there's a lot of interest and from a very diverse crowd. So I think that's really going to bring some good dialogue to the table.
Well, in the city and in the county, we have at least 33 or 35 agencies. Many of them go through United Way, but many of them also are funded by state and federal. We know that the money that trickles down through there as far as assistance and revenue for these agencies has dwindled, and it isn't always there. So I'm hoping that in this exercise we'll learn how we, maybe as volunteers, maybe as just other citizens that recognize things that are happening, we can step forward and do something where it doesn't maybe take money, it takes time and maybe listening or some other skills.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Patty, because there is going to be a call to action for participants, and I do want them to connect. The third component of the day is that we are also hosting a resource fair, and I'm inviting some of these agencies to bring their materials and set up a booth, so collectively people can get a better feel for what's available in the community, as well as we're going to post needs lists. Just as you said, it's not always financial. They might need building maintenance or somebody to help them paint, or just volunteerism. And so we're going to explore different ways that people can get involved. Couple that with the learning that they'll receive from Donna. You know, we're going to talk about things like the context of growing up in poverty within the United States, and even the difference in print and oral cultures that people in poverty, you know, how they communicate versus how you and I would communicate.
Correct.
It is very different. And we're just going to share some tips and techniques for reaching out to people in poverty and more effectively helping them get out and beyond poverty.
Now, when this is over, do you do a follow-up? Because this is a project that not necessarily you were assigned, but it's part of the educational process that you have just completed. And do you report back, and will other communities maybe follow up and do something similar? So this is a kind of a pilot project that you can send around the state, perhaps around the nation.
Well, I know this is the first project of its type right here in our area, where we're combining not only the education but then the actual simulation exercises. I'm going to be sharing this through the Northwest Credit Union Association, and then we'll be taking that further on to the to the National Credit Union Foundation. They've already expressed interest in wanting to do a follow-up story on that and share it at the national level as well.
That's terrific, Cathy. I know you're doing a great job. I'm excited. I'm going to attend. Hopefully.
Wonderful.
We have lots of time during the next few weeks to take and get your application in or your registration in, and we'll all look forward to learning something and making that difference. Cathy, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Growing Bremerton Together with Mayor Patty Lent. My second guest today is also Kitsap Credit Union, and she happens to be the branch manager of the downtown branch, Harborside, Wanda Moore. We're going to learn about what she's involved in the community. She's the current president of the Soroptimist Club. And again, we go back in some history, and she's going to tell us about some things that she's done, really making a difference in the city of Bremerton. Wanda, welcome.
Thank you.
We
Thank you for
first
having me.
met when you were opening the credit union branch at Bremerton High School.
Yes, that was a very exciting project for us, having the students involved in running their own branch and having them become student tellers and learn the ins and out of the banking field, and just learning about credit unions, giving them skills that they'll be able to use for the rest of their lives.
And teaching them to save, because
Absolutely.
the concept that I felt when we were together at that opening, if you're going to the prom in the spring and you need to save for a tuxedo or a dress,
Yeah.
a little bit of money each week or each month was a way of getting there. So it's a whole new skill level for high school kids.
Absolutely. And the kids have responded very well to their branches being in the credit unions. We have branch now at Bremerton, of course, and then we have one at South Kitsap High School and also at North Kitsap High School. It's a wonderful program that's really growing, and the kids are really doing a wonderful job at either working the credit union or at saving, learning to save.
And the curriculum that's being taught actually was something that you were instrumental. The Kitsap Credit Union was instrumental in getting that program started.
Right. We established all of our savings material, checking accounts, teaching them even about credit, even at this early age, so that they don't make some of the mistakes that some of our adults are making.
We've all had a mistake.
Yes.
That's great. Well, now you've been with the credit union, and I'm going to tell on you. 30 years.
Yep, I practically grew up here.
You grew up in the credit union, and so you really have some expertise that has assisted not just your customers and the clients that come into the bank. I'm a member of your credit union as well, and you were the manager at the downtown branch before the Harborside opened up.
Yes.
And I know if our former mayor was here, he would tout that this was the very next step of private investment in the city of Bremerton. So as we sit here today, we're on location at the credit union. We happen to be in the president's office. And what we're talking about is, again, last year was the first time that we had a Women's Day. And your involvement and current presidency of the Soroptimist Club, you've got some special projects that you're dealing with. One happened to be is trafficking.
Yes.
And so you really did some great things last year. Could you tell us a little bit about how the Soroptimist got involved and the difference that you're making?
Well, one of the things, when we first started, we've had, the Soroptimist of Bremerton has sponsored a women's show for about 4 years prior to last year. And last year, in talking with Mike Stevens at the Sun, we decided that we would partner because they wanted to bring in a Women Today show, which is part of Scripps program.
So expanded what you were already doing.
Right. And so working with Mike Stevens, we built this wonderful partnership that we're able to bring in really good entertainment and also culinary experts from Taste of Home, so we were able to bring in bigger names and really make this be a women's show where women can come out and just really recognize some of the businesses in the areas, and the businesses can show their appreciation for the women who really do a lot and have a lot of control over the finances in this community. So,
and we women do.
Yes, we do.
The nice thing is, I know this year we've got 64 exhibitors.
Yes.
And it's going to be held at?
We have 64 and counting, because it's not too late. If you're a vendor out there, if you're a business owner out there, and you want to take advantage of coming out to the show and being there for, last year we had over 2,500 women come through the event. And if you're interested in participating, please feel free to contact the Women Today, contact Kitsap Sun on their website for Women Today. but yeah, it's growing.
You know, our former guest was Cathy, and Cathy is an advisory to Washington Cash. I know that they've got at least 23 to 27 graduates in the last couple of years. They've got little businesses. This might be an opportunity for them to also distribute what they're doing. So I'm glad that we're timely.
Yes.
The dates of this Women's Day show, it's more than one day.
Yes, actually it kicks off on Thursday, May 3rd at the President's Hall with the Taste of Home cooking show. As I mentioned earlier, Christy Larson, culinary expert, will be here from Taste of Home, and she'll be working with us as Soroptimist women in the kitchen. And
You'll have aprons on.
We'll have aprons on. We'll be working really hard, but it will be a fun event for anyone to bring their whole family out to, because all of the dishes that we prepare, we end up giving those out as prizes to our guests.
So will they be actually meals or
Yes.
little tastes in the audience?
Oh no, they're actual meals.
Meals.
Casseroles and wonderful desserts, just a variety.
I wasn't familiar with this last year. Is this something new this year?
No,
It was there last year?
it was there last year.
Oh, I missed it.
Yep,
I
you
missed
did.
it. But I know that the Soroptimist is actually a sponsor for that. So
Yes.
that kickoff is something that you're very involved in. How many Soroptimist members do you have? We have more than one organization. There's one in Paulsbo. You're here in Bremerton.
And we have one in Port Orchard, and we have one in Gig Harbor as well. But that's just on the Kitsap Peninsula. In Washington, there's probably about 90 clubs in the state of Washington. As a matter of fact, we're gearing up for our Northwest Region Conference coming up at the end of this month. That we'll be going to over in Spokane.
That's terrific. I know Lions and Rotary, they're kind of a mixed group. You're still the last holdout. I think Soroptimists are women, and women making a difference.
Actually, we
You have a
recently
man?
changed our bylaws, and we do allow men now. So, and yes, we do have male members.
Members.
Yes.
Do we have any in Bremerton?
No.
Well, I'm not knowing.
Not yet.
Not yet. That's good to say, not yet. And you also do other things besides this particular woman's show.
Yes.
We're featuring that because it's just around the corner. We'd like to have more vendors. We'd like to have Washington Cash and any entrepreneurs.
Yes.
We have an entrepreneurial center downtown Bremerton, and 23 businesses again have been able to do make business plans and expand where they've started to hire other employees. So it's really a great opportunity
It really
for
is.
people to be featured at this woman's show.
Yeah. And I started off telling you that it starts off on May 3rd. May 4th and 5th we'll be at the pavilion. So the vendors, that's where they will be at.
They will be.
One of our signature things that we do is we observe women who are working in the community to do things. And Cathy Morrison, who we just interviewed, was the recipient of our Ruby Award for Women Helping Women. We also make award to a teenage girl for her efforts in some charity event, and we just did that. And we also made award for Women's Opportunity Awards for women who are struggling, who are just kind of getting over that hump, and they are returning back to school, and we help them with their school tuition and books in that way.
That's
So
great, and
really
that's
doing a lot.
we learned that there were about 1,200 people that were at the event last year. We're hoping to increase that. I thank you. I thank the Kitsap Credit Union for letting us film here today, and if you can possibly attend either of the two functions we're featuring today, they're coming forward. So look at our website, look at the Kitsap Credit Union website, and we hope to see you at the events.